Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Third Wheel, by Jeff Kinney. January. Sunday. I wish I'd started keeping a journal a lot earlier on, because whoever ends up writing my biography is going to have a lot of questions about my life in the years leading up to middle school. Luckily, I remember just about everything that's happened to me since I was born. In fact, I can even remember stuff that happened to me before I was born. Back in those days, it was just me swimming around in the dark, doing backflips, and taking naps whenever I wanted. Then one day, when I was in the middle of a really good nap, I got woken up by these strange noises coming from outside. At the time, I didn't know what the heck I was hearing, but later on I found out it was Mom piping in music from these speakers she put on her belly. I guess Mom thought if she played classical music for me every day before I was born, it would turn me into some kind of genius. Those speakers came with a microphone, and when Mom wasn't playing music, she was telling me everything that was going on in her life. And when Dad came home from work, Mom would have to give me a blow-by-blow of his day. But that wasn't the end of it. Every night, Mom would read to me for a half hour before she went to bed. The problem is, my sleep schedule didn't line up with Mom's, so when she was sleeping, I'd be wide awake. I actually wish I'd paid more attention when Mom was reading to me, though. Last week in school, we had a pop quiz on a book, and I hadn't read it yet. I was pretty sure Mom said that one to me before I was born, but I couldn't think of any of the details. I guess the week Mom was reading that book, I was busy doing something else. The crazy thing is, Mom didn't need to use the microphone for me to hear her. I mean, I was inside her, so I could hear every word she said, whether I wanted to or not. I could also hear just about everything that was happening on the outside, so when Mom and Dad got all mushy, I had to listen to that too. I've never really felt comfortable when people are acting affectionate around me, especially when it's my parents. I tried to get them to stop, but they never got the message. In fact, everything I tried just seemed to make things worse. After a few months of living like this, I had to get out of there, and that's why I was born 3 weeks early. But after being hit by the cold air and the blinding lights of the delivery room, I wished I'd just stay put. By the time I came into the world, I was totally sleep-deprived and in a really lousy mood. So if you ever see a picture of a newborn, now you know why they always look so ticked off. In fact, I still haven't caught up on the sleep I missed, and believe me, I've been trying. Ever since I was born, I've tried to recreate the feeling I had way back when I was floating around in the dark, happy as could be. But when you're living in a house with 4 other people, some fool is always going to come along and ruin things for you. I met my older brother Roderick a few days after I was born. Up to that point, I thought I was an only child, so I was pretty disappointed to find out I wasn't. My family was living in a really small apartment back then, and I had to share a room with Roderick. He got the crib, so for the first few months of my life, I had to sleep in the top dresser drawer, which I'm pretty sure isn't even legal. Eventually, Dad moved his work stuff out of the room he was using as an office and made it into a nursery. I got Roderick's old crib, and he got a new bed. Almost everything I had back in those days was a hand-me-down from Roderick. By the time something came to me, it was either worn out or covered in slobber. Even my pacifier was a hand-me-down from Roderick, and I don't even think he was ready to give it up, though, which might explain why he's never really liked me. It was just the 4 of us for a long time. Then one day, Mom told me she was going to have another baby. I was glad she gave me the heads up so I could be ready. When my little brother Manny came along, everybody thought he was so cute. But what they don't tell you about babies is that after they're born, they have this black stub on their belly button where the umbilical cord was tied off. Eventually, the stub dries up and falls off, and the baby has a regular-looking belly button. The thing is, nobody ever found Manny's stub, and to this day, I'm still paranoid it's going to show up somewhere. When I was a newborn, Mom put me in front of the TV for an hour today to watch educational videos. I don't know if these videos actually made me any smarter, but at last I was smart to but at least I was smart enough to figure out how to put something I wanted to watch on. I also figured out how to remove the batteries from the remote so no one can turn the educational videos back on. But when you're a baby, you really can't get around a lot. So there was only one place I could hide the batteries. I think Mom should have let me crawl around on the floor more when I was little, because I was way behind the other kids in my playgroup when it came to physical stuff. While the others were sitting up on and couch surfing, I was still working on lifting my head up off the ground. Then one day, Mom bought me this thing called a Baby Adventures Action Walker, which was the first thing I ever got that Roderick didn't have before me. The Action Walker was awesome. It had a million little gadgets you could entertain yourself with, plus a cup holder. But the best thing about it is, I could actually walk anywhere I needed to go without actually having to walk. I could tell that when I was in my Baby Adventures Action Walker, my little playgroup friends all felt like chumps. But then Mom read in some parenting magazine that it wasn't a good idea to use baby walkers because kids wouldn't develop the right muscles to walk on their own. So Mom returned the Action Walker to the store, and I was back to square one. It took a long time, but eventually I did learn to walk, and before I knew it, I was in preschool. I was hoping I'd have a head start over all the other kids because of the work Mom had put in with classical music and the educational DVDs. But the other moms must have done that stuff too, because the competition in preschool was pretty stiff. I mean, you had kids in there who knew how to use buttons and zippers when I could barely figure out how to pull off my mittens without help from a grown-up. A few of my classmates would write their own names, and one or two could count all the way to 50. I knew I couldn't keep up, so I decided to try and slow everyone else down by feeding them bad information. My plan kind of backfired, though, and my preschool teacher told Mom I wasn't learning my colors and shapes like the other kids. But Mom said I was smart, and that maybe the problem was I wasn't being challenged enough. So Mom actually took me out of preschool and had me skip a grade to kindergarten. But that decision was a total disaster. The kids in kindergarten seemed like giants to me, and they knew how to do stuff like cut with scissors and color inside the lines. I didn't even make it a whole day in kindergarten before the teacher had to call Mom to come get me. The next day, Mom brought me back to preschool and asked the teacher if I could have my cubby back. I just hope your academic record doesn't follow you around, because it might be tough for me to get a good job later on if people find out I was a kindergarten dropout. Monday. I'm pretty sure Mom decided that whatever she tried with me when I was little didn't work out because she's taking a totally different approach with Manny. For starters, Mom pretty much lets Manny watch whatever he wants on TV, so he keeps it on this show called The Snurples, 24 hours a day. I tried to watch The Snurples a few times, but I had no idea what was going on. Snurples have their own little language that I guess only 3-year-olds can understand. After Manny watches the show, he gets frustrated when no one in our family can understand him. But the other day, Mom read in an article that said watching The Snurples actually set kids back a year with their language development and mess up their social skills too. Well, that explains a lot. Manny doesn't have any real friends, and whenever Mom holds a playgroup at our house, Manny is the only one who doesn't interact with the other kids. I think part of the issue is that Manny doesn't like to share his toys. So, when kids come over, Manny locks himself inside our old dog Sweetie's exercise pen and keeps his toys all to himself. And whenever Mom tries to get Manny to play with other kids on his own, it backfires. At our church, they have this new thing where they send all the little kids down to the basement during the service so they can play and color. But the first time Mom dropped Manny off downstairs, there was only one other kid in the play area. And he told Manny he was a vampire. I felt a little bad for Manny because I had to deal with a scary kid when I was his age, too. I was stuck in preschool with this boy named Bradley who terrorized me every chance he got.